Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, welcome to Toronto, which is the home of the king of the morphed and the mutated body parts, Mr. Cronenberg. So yeah, welcome to TIFF.
Thank you.
Rapturous response by critics in the Critics Week. Obviously, you were there back in May, and it played like gangbusters last night in Toronto. Between the month of May and the month of September, have you went back and tinkered around with it? Did you deliver it and said this child is no longer my baby, or did you go back and say there's more at stake, there's international audiences that are going to see it, there's much more deals, there's more things into play? Did you go and touch maybe a couple of elements, perhaps score or
No, not the score, but many things. One, I went on holidays because I hadn't taken a holiday in 5 years, so good time in holidays. I relaxed a bit. Of course, it's still my baby. It will never not be my baby.
I know, but it's out of diapers.
But it's true that exactly you have to. There is a part of it that you have to mourn, that you cannot do anything with it. I had to touch a bit the movie, but for legal reasons.
Okay.
The only thing is that my actress Garance was 17 years old and 10 months when we finished shooting. And I believe that in North America it's illegal to film the nakedness of a woman that is less than 18 years old. And because she was less than 18 when we shot, we had to reframe some of the shots in order to hide her breasts. So that's the only thing we had to remove. It doesn't show actually at all. I was kind of afraid it would, but it doesn't show it at all.
Yeah, you don't really pay attention to nakedness. There's so much more going on in the film that.
Yeah, that's the thing, exactly.
So I was reading about your bio. So post Femis, which is your school, many great filmmakers came out of this.
How do you call my school?
Femis?
Oh yeah.
Femis? How do you say that?
No, La Femis, because I thought that you said that the school was called Feminist.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, that's so funny lapsus. I like it. Maybe it's called like that.
Maybe in France that'd be possible. But so post Femis, I'm not going to talk about the short specifically, but I think you did like a lot of script reading and script consulting work. So I was wondering how reading 300 awful screenplays.
Except 300. I didn't. I mean, this is really. I worked with other writers in order to help them overcome some steps in the writing, and to make it easier for them also, and to take some of the work on me so that it's they can have let's say a bit more distance with their work. This is what consulting is. Like, you read the script and you go, okay, I see what's not good. I see what's
works, what
what's
doesn't
really
work.
not working, and then you talk to them and you help them write it so that it works. So that's not reading 300 scripts. It's more writing with someone.
Horror genre fans will often point to kill sequences in the folklore of the horror genre as whenever we're talking about the best films from this genre, talk about kill sequences. With Raw, I noticed that there was a lot of choice comedic moments stemming from the waxing scene to when she's first tasting flesh, yeah. And to me, I responded to that in a very comedic way, and so did the audience. When you're penning the screenplay, are you conscious of those choices? Are you seeing it as a visual layout, and you're saying those are gag moments that I want to insert in there? Like,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, it's intended. The idea with the wax scene was that it starts with something that is super trivial and super funny.
Yeah.
And that that I knew that that the audience is going to be creeped out by the hair that is being pulled by the wax and stuff like that, and the way the older sister acts like, I'm amazing because she manages to inflict pain to her sister. It's super funny, and of course and I wanted this scene to morph into something that was becoming less funny and more like nerve-wracking
Yeah.
and bit way more disturbing. I like, usually, it's not the only scene in which you have this in the movie.
Mhm.
I really like scenes that morph into something more disturbing, where when triviality becomes strangeness, you know, when it becomes like throughout the movement of just one scene like that. So yeah, that's completely intense.
I like the talking about morphing. I like the mechanisms that are in place with your protagonists. We come up, we start off with feeling of, you know, a lot of empathy and sympathy towards the character, and then we gradually almost distrust her. And I found that that's such a refreshing reversal or flip. Usually we're kept like there's a carrot stick, and we're pushed to, like, you know, to incrementally loving characters. Here it's the complete opposite. Did you always have that from the get-go?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But the idea was, I believe that if a character makes you laugh at the beginning of the movie, it makes you keep your empathy throughout the movie, because you will never forget that this character made you laugh and that you could relate to that.
Yeah.
You know. So basically, this is how it works. You do this at the beginning, and then she can pretty much become the monster you want her to become, and yet keep the audience with her, because they are not gonna forget about the first half of the movie where they could actually relate to her when she was funny.
Yeah, we fall in love with the character.
Exactly.
Also, I found it really a really interesting rapport with the older sister. I was wondering if you could elaborate the dynamics of that relationship. Obviously, there's the older sister is a little bit of an antagonist role, but she also represents a lot more than just a sister in the flesh.
You're absolutely right. There is this also, but it's true. It's a very complex relationship that also evolves a lot throughout the movie. I thought about the relationship as what we call in French a chiasm. It means that you have one ascending journey and one descending journey, and they're going to meet in the middle. The moment they meet in the middle is on the road, when she realizes that her older sister is a cannibal as well. So that's the moment. And then from then, the sister is going to go down and she's going to go up in terms of, let's say, balance of powers. And the thing is that it's true that she is the main antagonist. I think we can still say that.
Well, just like there's specific scenes, just like one's looking down at her often, the vantage points.
Yeah.
There's a power dynamic that gets shuffled or wrestled throughout the film, and obviously it goes towards what your strategy that's in place.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, is that it's true. I believe that Alexia is. When she sees that her sister is like her, younger sister is like her, she goes, okay, if she's like me, then I don't want her to starve, because she have an older sister instinct.
Yeah.
She wants to protect her in a way. She doesn't want her to starve, so I'm going to teach her how to provide for food. So she shows her on the road how to provide for food in order not to starve.
Yes.
Because she's an animal, she has her needs. And she doesn't give a shit what her needs require, and if she's hungry, she has to eat, because she doesn't have a moral compass.
Yeah.
Contrarily to Justine. She's gonna build one. So from this moment, for her it's perfectly normal. She thinks that she's helping her sister, and that's what she says. Since the beginning, it was already there. The thing with the dress. She says, or with the finger, she says, "You didn't. I could not have helped you." And she said, "You didn't help me." But she constantly thinks that she helps her sister, but she helps her by punching her in the face, that's her megalomania, you know.
And it's perhaps a tough love thing, because she's going through
But then afterwards, when the younger sister doesn't want to eat like that, she doesn't want to kill people, then she feels despised, and this is where the mindfuck starts, because she feels like the younger sister is taking her freedom, is taking like. Her distance with her, and this is where she starts to crumble. So it's very, very ambiguous, all this thing, and to end up in a place where she's completely vulnerable and her younger sister has to wash her before giving her to the cops.
What I really appreciated in your film is all the polemics that are involved here, and like how body image, sexuality, womanhood, and how there's like this violent undercurrent with regards to not only womanhood, but like, you know, self understanding of the body, and then all the tools I use, the cannibalism, the hazing, the body shaming. I found that it's a really interesting way to talk about violence, and this is not including also the moral diet that the family chooses to have. Yeah. It's really ingenious. I think so.
Thanks. But you're right, it's something that I've
but you touch upon that in Junior, which I only saw clips of it on the internet.
Yeah, but Junior is way lighter. It's really a comedy. I mean, it's way more endearing, and you know, but it has its own violence in a way. But it's
anything that takes place in the cafeteria, there's always somebody that's going to be affected by.
Yeah, of course, because you always have. But this is a very cruel. Every cafeteria is a cruel place for me. Really, and it's always like being judged for who you are and what stereotypes you feel like.
There's a lot of choice moments in this film. The bed sheet sequence, there's a lot to read into that. The paint sequence, where I forget what they call it, but they put two teens in a room in a I say garde-robe. What do you say garde-robe in English? In a closet, and I thought that was such a great way to vividly paint red into the film, which is, of course, you know, it's free flowing and stuff. I thought that was ingenious. I was wondering, where did that specifically come from? Something you've seen in your life?
No.
But that's a great sequence. I mean, RGB.
I just wanted colors. Yeah. And I thought I wanted red to stand out on other colors. And I think it was really funny, like they're blue and yellow, they're supposed to be green, and when he comes out he's red, and I thought it's super funny.
When I saw that, I knew where you were going with that. I knew where you were going, and I said, oh fuck, this woman's brilliant. And then I was thinking, does hazing culture do stuff like that? Maybe in the arts world or something?
Of course, it must exist, I'm sure. Everything exists in hazing culture, everything exists. There is really no limit, I think.
Speaking of homages and possible influences on the film, a lot of people are mentioning title dropping a lot of films, but there was one sequence where I sort of saw there was a wink to Dracula, especially with the accompanied score.
Which
Is
one?
that possible? Dracula?
It's impossible.
It's impossible?
Which scene?
Well, when she's sitting down and she's observing, like, she's in full ownership of her sexuality, and it's
when
the party
she's red?
scene.
Yeah, the party, the second party.
And there's like the score when it comes in with the organ.
It's so funny that
and
you
she's looking at everybody, and it's, you don't, I mean, you allude to the tooth thing.
It's so funny because I didn't think of that at all, like really. But now that you say it, I understand why you think that.
She's owning that room. She's understanding the superpower element that she has. Yeah, full control. Oh, that's
Didn't
fun.
think of it, but really good. I think it's a good take on it. I like it. Mm.
You break out huge at Cannes. They call it the gem film. And it's such a hard section to get to for anybody who wants to see films on that croisette. It's the most hellish experience. But whenever something explodes from this section, it has a long-lasting presence. The Tribe 2014 was huge.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking back, I saw It Follows à l'intérieur, which is part of a French horror curriculum that I really appreciate. So what happens to you? Do you get pitched a whole bunch of different horror specs and just say, what am I doing with 100 other films that if I had to bet on where you're going next with your film, and you don't have to discuss it here, but I don't even think you're going to touch the horror genre.
Of course I will.
You will?
That is my grammar.
Really?
I can't express myself right now, or otherwise maybe I will change, maybe I will evolve, and probably I hope I will. But my grammar is going to change. But for now, I express myself like this.
Okay.
It will always have something to do with it. It's my culture.
Okay.
So no, of course. And I do think that it's impossible. It's important. To dig into a craft. You know, like it's a craft, and I don't think I've mastered it yet. And it's going to take me maybe 10 years before I master it. 20 years, I don't know.
Oh, for sure. But I wasn't thinking, like I said, I wasn't thinking that you were headed in necessarily that. So, are you looking towards creating more original work on your end, or
I'm writing my second feature. Right
okay,
now. Yeah.
okay. So that's where you're at.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
cool.
I'm a screenwriter originally. I mean, before I directed, I was
Of
a
course,
screenwriter.
of
So
course.
for me, the screenwriting is super important. I love doing this, and it's really writing and directing is really continuity in my head. So yeah, it's I'm not. Yeah, I've been, of course, as you said, I've been flooded with ideas for remake and stuff like that, but.
Not
I really
now.
want to not now. No.
How would you describe your writing process? What type of person are you? Is it like 5 hours? Like I start at 9 with coffee, café au lait with croissant, and I start for 5 hours. Sorry for like.
No, me, it's really like more like I'm gonna be like lying down for a few months thinking and not going out and just thinking and watching movies and reading books.
Okay.
And then for as many months behind, I'm gonna write night and day without reading, without watching movies, and that's it. I'm a bit like this.
So you're like a binge person for the arts, and then at some point there's a disconnect, and that's where
You know,
you
it's not that I binge for the art. I really think about what I want to do. I take notes. I just get immersed in my head.
Yeah.
And I need to get immersed in my head and not put it on the like too fast on paper on the computer. Like, oh, I've written my treatment and stuff like that. I really need to get immersed in it. I have to think about it a lot and take a lot of notes, and then I can start with the writing on computer.
So in the case of like the protagonist for this film and her family, and including the parents and her whole social circle, are these characters that once you get into the writing phase, they're all living in your head and they're speaking to you and they're having dialogue exchanges, and you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, these two people just had this moment together?